Okay, let's see if we can get this crowbar in there and if we can turn that flywheel. Oh, got it. You see that? Yes. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be digging into the TD6 behind us. I don't know anything about this. This will be the first time we've really worked on it. Most of the stuff I work on is John Deere, but this fell into our laps, and so here we are. I want to see if we can get this thing turning over. And there's a few other things that we need to do before we get it started, but step number one is that engine has to spin. So let's dig into that right now. Oh boy. Oh, that is rusted. It's actually not rusty at all. It's just tight fitting. Maybe that's good. Oh. That's very varnished. Let's just lift this up and off. Okay, let's take a gander down inside this fuel tank. That's actually pretty clean. And the fuel that's in there, like I say, it smells very, very varnished. Unfortunately, this is not smell-o-vision, or else you would be smelling this stench of varnished fuel with me. But that's good. So the fuel tank is pretty clean. What we were told from the person that we got this from is that he'd been trying to get rid of this tractor for a while. And some kids from the neighborhood thought that they would be able to get it running. And they came over and they tried to get this thing to start. They could never get it to start. When we picked it up, there were a couple of empty cans of ether sitting on the ground. So they probably dumped about 2 or 3 or 4, maybe, I don't know how many cans, but at least 2 full cans of ether down the throat of this thing trying to get it to start. That's probably not very good. The piston walls may be a little bit glazed over now. We'll find out. And that may have some impact as to why the engine is stuck right now. And it also is probably why the starting motor on this is shot. So, I don't know. The first thing we got to do is let's get that starting motor out. Let's try to turn it over with a bar. I doubt that it'll work. And then let's get, if that doesn't work, then let's get some fluid down the inside of the cylinders to start loosening everything up, hopefully. Okay, let's get this thing out. Is it gonna come out? I've got these, looks like fuel lines in the way. Yeah, I'm gonna get these off just a minute. Okay, it's actually not leaking too bad. What size is this? That's 9/16. Okay, not too much fuel came out. Not too much at all. Oh, come on. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take that cover on this pump off. Look. Let me show you this. I was afraid of this. So this is the little, it looks like some sort of pickup pump, but this bolt right here that you can see that I've got loosened, the head of that bolt was just barely contacting the starter. So I thought, oh, I'll just take that bolt out. Well, I can't get the bolt out because it's too long. It comes out and it collides with the starter. So let me figure this out. Success! I got it out. I had to partially disassemble these connections down here on that pump, but I got it removed, and there's the flywheel. Okay, I'm gonna put these connections back in place before I lose them or forget where they go. Okay, let's see if we can get this crowbar in there and if we can turn that flywheel. Oh, got it. You see that? Yes. Oh. Is it in gear? No, it's not in gear. Man. Okay. Let's see if we can spin it the whole way around. Oops. Man, everything I drop under this thing is so hard to get. I'm gonna go get a different crowbar. I've got a tire iron now, which has a little bit better angle to it.
You can use a different tractor, okay? Why? Use a different tractor. Why not this? Because I'm using these. Okay, I'll go get one. Dad, was that supposed to happen?
No, it just slipped.
Did it break?
No, it didn't break. While I'm doing this, my daughter, here, let me show you this. She's over here, she's got a line of 3 tractors. Are you fixing those ones, Ren? Well, if I've done one thing right in my life, I've taught my daughters to work on tractors.
Come with me.
So I've run into a problem. I can take the flywheel and I can spin it probably 3/4 of the way around, maybe even a little bit more, but either direction there's one sticky spot and I can't get it past it. And I worry that maybe a valve is stuck or something like that. Anyway, so I might pop the valve cover off and we'll look down in there and just make sure that all the valves move. I don't want to be bending push rods as I'm trying to force this engine to turn over. So let's take this valve cover off real quick. I'm gonna blow that off with some air. Just broke that gasket. It's actually pretty clean. I have no idea what this is, but it looks like it's supposed to be there. It's like a piece of woven something or other. Okay, let's go ahead and let's hit the top of these valves and make sure that all those, it doesn't look bad in here. Let me get you up closer. So it looks nice and clean inside. What's this? Is that gas? I mean, oil? Yeah, it's got oil right there. Oh, a little bit of rust right here around this guy. Same with this one. But let's hit these valves and make sure that all the valves open and close. Okay, that one's moving. Let's try this one. That one's moving. This one. That one's moving. That one's moving. Moving. Seemed like it was a little stiff, but it's moving. I don't know what this tube is for. Maybe that's just some sort of breather. Let's try these ones. This one is opened right now, so it doesn't move as much, but I think it's moving. And that one moves too. Okay, so we're not bending anything, I don't think. So let's try to continue to move this engine over. So we decided we're going to take this intake off, and we've got to get oil down inside. We got to get oil down inside the cylinders.
Let's hit it with the
Mallet.
that mallet.
Here, I'll hold it. You hit it. There it goes.
Is it going?
Yeah. It's probably kind of heavy.
Let's see, there's something hooked up somewhere. Down.
Not that. That's just a little clip. Oh, it's right back here. This thing. Okay. Let me see it. Okay, we just got it off. Now there should be some valves down inside that thing too.
Valves.
So this is where your intake for your gasoline starting engine is. Those are your intakes for gasoline.
Oh, really?
See, and flip that. So when that's flipped, then air can't get into the engine there. It gets
comes
sucked
through
in
there.
through that.
Wow. That is a complex little deal.
Yeah.
Pony motor is much simpler.
Yeah.
Well,
Should we squirt some bunch of Marvel mystery oil down in there?
yeah, it's got to get down in the cylinders.
Yeah. You need help?
No.
Oh.
That's where the...
I mean, it is a little bit. Let's put it in the. It didn't really go in the. That all went in that front. Front or back, whichever one. That first cylinder. Now let's put some down this other tube. I've got a whole bunch of Marvel mystery oil at my house from my old Ford truck too.
Oh.
Yeah, that did good.
Didn't run out?
No. Now I'll put it down this one. Oh, no. It came out a little bit, but that's okay.
We out of oil?
There's a tiny bit left in there.
Well,
I'm going to move the cylinders or the flywheel up and down a little bit, see if I can just get that moving. Yeah.
right?
Here's where it gets hard. Oh, but it's going. I think I just made it. Yeah. We made it all the way around, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and it's easy.
Here, let's put a mark on the flywheel with a chalk. Okay.
Marble mystery oil did it. It seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's easy to move now. We could put I think it'll still get to that hard spot again.
But have we gone over the hard spot?
Yeah. But now I'm probably gonna come up on it right now. Right there, it's hard. But
And it's turning.
I'm
There
past
it
it.
is. Oh,
No,
no.
that's a spider web. Oh, right here, it's getting hard too. Now it's easy again, or it's getting easier again.
We made it.
There it is. There's my mark.
Son, that's a win. That is a win.
I brought the manifold home mainly because I wanted to rebuild the carburetor, so we're going to do that. But then as I was looking closely down inside of the intake, it's actually pretty dirty down in there and pretty rusty, and I don't want all of that garbage getting sucked into the engine. This side too, I mean, you can just see how much just dirt and debris there is. So we're gonna get this all cleaned up here. It almost even looks like it's a little bit moldy down in there. I don't know if you can see that. I can't tell if it's mold or what, but maybe it's just dirt. Anyway, I'm gonna pop this carburetor off. Let's open it up and let's look inside of this. Whoa. That is weird. I need to pause the video right now because I've actually just barely finished editing all of the video footage that makes up this video that you're watching right now. I exported it from my computer. I uploaded it to YouTube. I scheduled it to release tomorrow. And I was watching some other videos just now on TD6 carburetors, and a guy showed a picture of his TD6 carburetor, and when I saw his carburetor, my eyes popped out of my head. My jaw dropped to the floor because I was so amazed. I was stunned. There is something, if you know TD6s or MDs or anything about these carburetors, you have probably already seen what the problem is. Let me show you. So this right here is my carburetor. This is how it was when I pulled it out. I mean, and I went through and I cleaned it all up. And there was one thing that was weird to me as I was doing all of this. I did not know what this little standoff was for. It's a threaded standoff. I thought that maybe there was it was a hollow passage, but no, it dead ends down there. It doesn't go anywhere. But now I understand what this is for. There is supposed to be a throttle valve of some sort, basically it looks like a flat washer from the pictures that I could see, that goes over this. And that's what acts as your throttle blade. I have the carburetor this is a John Deere A carburetor right here. Basically, there's your carburetor throttle, and moving that adjusts how much air fuel mixture goes into the engine. This has a static throttle valve that's supposed to go right here. I think the fuel passes through the, which you'll see as I rebuild this carburetor later on in this video. Fuel goes through there's a needle valve and basically a jet, and that's where the fuel comes from the fuel bowl down here, up through the body of the carburetor, and it jumps into the airstream because air is moving into your carburetor here, passes by the choke, goes down into this passageway, makes a U-turn, and then comes back up through. And you can see that the intake, the inlet to your carburetor right here, is a little bit larger than your exit, which is the same as it is here on a John Deere carburetor. Here's your inlet right here at your choke, and you can see the venturi down there, and as it passes through the venturi, the air pressure drops, and that's what causes fuel to be sucked or drawn up into the moving air. And then out here you have your, right here inside your carburetor exit, right on the back side of your throttle blade, you see you have those two little holes right there, and that's at idle what allows fuel to come and mix in with the air. While the tractor's idling, this throttle valve is pretty much closed, but there's these two ports right here, and fuel squirts or fuel dribbles into the airstream through those two ports right there. You've seen me rebuild these carburetors on other videos, but that's why it's so important that you have your idle circuit here on this side of your DLTX carburetor clean, is because fuel has to come through those two little, through that little port right there. That is the same as this port right here. This doesn't have a movable, like I said, this doesn't have a movable throttle body. This is just a stationary throttle, and so it's always going to be running at the same RPM, and that's where fuel enters the carburetor. But it has to have a low, the pressure of this moving air has to be lower than the pressure over on this side, because that's what draws the fuel up this tube and into the moving airstream. And so you put that throttle valve over the top of this that I'm missing, and that's what draws that fuel up in there. So anyway, that's actually a huge relief. I mean, it kind of ruins my video here of rebuilding the carburetor. I'm probably going to look like an idiot the rest of the video because I'm missing a really important feature or a really important piece of the carburetor. But hey, cut me some slack. I'm just learning here. But I think the most valuable thing here that I've just barely learned that I want to share with you is I now know why the tractor wouldn't start. And had I gone and I put this carburetor and this manifold back on the tractor as they are right now, they wouldn't have ran. I would have been in the exact same spot as those kids, and I would have been scratching my head wondering what the heck's going on. I now know what I need to do. So I've either got to buy one, or like I mentioned in the last video, my dad's neighbor has an MD that he said that we could have a lot of parts off of. I'm thinking he has a carburetor, and I'm going to go up to my dad's place this Saturday for a club event. That video will come out next week. You'll see that one. But I'm going to grab his carburetor and see if I can rob that throttle plate off of his. So if not, then I can just go and I'll see if I can buy one. The one thing that's interesting, one last thing, MD or TD6 people, please tell me why as I was looking at videos of these carburetors, there's two different styles of these throttle plates. One is just a flat throttle plate. The other looks like it has like a big old spout sticking up off the top with some sort of nozzle on the top. I'll put pictures of them right here so you can see what I'm talking about. But please tell me which is better, which is more accurate, which is correct for this tractor. I'm guessing it's just that flat disc, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I had to put this announcement in here or else everybody would be going off the rails saying I'm an idiot, commenting that I don't know anything, and I don't, but I now know a little bit more than I used to. So anyway, back to the regularly scheduled program. Well, I was hoping to salvage that gasket, but looks like I messed it up. We can make a new one. Okay. Okay, let's take the bowl off. And let's see what it looks like down inside of here. It's really pretty clean. Not too bad. Looks like, I'm just learning how this works, but it looks like this lever right here, which is actuated when you flip the tractor over from gasoline to diesel. There's like a cam down in there, and it looks like that cam rides up here and it pushes down on that, completely shutting off the fuel inlet right here. So you push down on that with that cam, and then fuel can't come in. But it's really not dirty. Let's take this out and let's wipe out the bottom of that float bowl. So if you look up in here, you can see that it is pretty grimy down in here. I mean, it's not the worst, but it's not the best either. So let's get that cleaned up. Maybe I'll pull that needle valve out as well too. So now I'm moving on to the top of the carburetor, and this cam that I was telling you about, I don't know if you can see, but there's like stuff growing on that down in there, like algae or something. I don't know. I have never seen that before. I don't know. It's slimy. Anyway, if there's slimy stuff out here, there's very likely slimy stuff inside of the passageways. So it looks like we've got a big jet here, like a main jet, and then another sort of metering jet right here. Let's take these out. Same thing on the top. Let's take this out. Oh, that looks like it's completely sealed off. Let's get this apart. I got these jets out. This one came out okay, but it is pretty grimy up here. So we'll clean that up. And then I backed this one out. This one's actually pretty clean, but we'll get it cleaned up. Oh look, that's weird. This is like a split shaft for the choke. You can see it's not continuous through there, and it's a little bit loose on this side. So maybe we'll take this choke out. So I got everything cleaned, ran it through a wash in the ultrasonic cleaner. So I think this is as good as I can get it. I'm now going to go and piece all of this back together, and then before we throw it back on the manifold, we'll see if we can clean that manifold up. Carburetors all put back together. That looks really good. I've turned my attention now to the intake manifold, and it's coming pretty clean here on this side of the butterfly valve, and I was able to clean the intake for the gas starting portion of the motor. Right here I got that passageway cleaned out pretty well. But in order to clean the main passageway for the diesel engine, then I've got to take that butterfly valve out. So I've started doing that. Let's do that right now, and then let's take this cover off also, because there's, I believe, a switch that cuts the spark off once once you flip it over to diesel power, I think there's a switch in here that cuts it off to cuts off the spark, like I said, and I believe that has been discoed. So let's take care of that. Yikes. I can see it. Excuse me. I can see why it was disconnected. Look at that. You see that? That's a mess. So this is interesting. There's a bevel. Probably can't see that very well. Maybe you can. There's a bevel on the sides of this so that when it's closed, it has a good seal. And it says 12 degrees on this back side. So just be aware when I'm putting this back in that it does need to be put in a specific direction. Now, we should be able to take this out. Okay, now let's try to get this bottom one out without breaking it. Look at that. I'm amazed. Got it. Okay. Looks like it's a spark plug wire, but it's basically just a kill switch. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. There. Got it. Okay. Well, I think this is what it's supposed to look like inside with the spring. Obviously, there's not the, what do you want to call it? The kill switch built in on this side, but that's pretty good. I think I'm going to try to find another one of those springs. You kidding me? This is the whole thing. Oh, shoot. I don't want to do that. This means I've got to undo this back here too. I'm going to see if I can work around that. I think I probably can. I think I've got this clean. If you look down inside of the bore here, I don't know how well you can see. Okay, I think I got the light situated better. So right here, it's a machined surface, but back here, it's cast. And so you can see the surface finish change from back here, cast, machined. So I think I've got everything clean on both sides. There's this other side. Got it clean too. I did not pull this rod all the way out. I was able to work around it and get everything clean, even though it's still installed. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reassemble everything. And this is probably the most complicated intake manifold ever built. I've got the intake manifold pretty well put back together, and it's actually not that complicated. But as I was putting it back together, this is the switch that was all rusty. I cleaned everything out, and actually everything still seems to be in functioning order. Let me switch this over here, Right now, the tractor would be in gasoline start mode. So you can see that the butterfly valve down in the main intake is closed. And so it's going to be pulling air through this little intake port down here, which goes through the carburetor. So once it starts and it's running on gasoline, when you're ready to flip it over to diesel mode, you flip the switch and it rotates and it opens this valve right here. You see that? It opens that valve. But then it also, right here, it moves this. There's a little contact on this. And when you switch it over to diesel mode, that contact comes up and it touches this copper or conductive striker plate right there. And it actually grounds out. So now we've got a ground going out. And this wire that's coming out the bottom, this would connect to the ground on your, or the kill switch terminal on your magneto. So when you switch it over to diesel, it automatically kills the spark going to the spark plugs coming out of the magneto. Pretty cool. And just like that, we got the carburetor put back onto the tractor. We got gaskets made for here, got a new gasket made there. I feel good about that. Guys, I think that's probably going to do it for today's video. It's getting kind of long. And in all actuality, I had hopes that I would get this thing running, get the tractor running during this video, especially after I got it unstuck. I was like, hey, this is great. But there's just still a couple of other things that I've got to do. I'm glad that I was able to get the manifold cleaned up. I get the carburetor all cleaned out. But there's still the diesel side of the engine. I've got to service the injector pump. Then we've got to bleed all the lines there. We've got to get a starter going for it because the other starter is burned up. Still another little bit that has to be done. That'll come out in a future video. But thank you so much for watching, you guys. And I'll see you next week with another video.